this is Controls. We are approaching M86. Gonna put our sign up. KF0 KXU. Welcome to Steel Beam Rally Team. I'm Tyler and this is Eric. We are the volunteer coordinators for the 2023 Ojibwe Forest Rally. We're running a lead car at the rally, so we need to have a ham radio in this truck so we can talk to other rally people and make sure it's all safe. We're both new hams, so we didn't really know what to get, but this radio was recommended by a bunch of people who've been doing it for years, so I picked up what works for them. We run on the 2-meter band, and we run a net, so we don't really need to do much complicated stuff on here, just communicate through a repeater. People are saying this is a pretty durable product, and here's our antenna we're using. It is a mag mount with an NMO mount. I've been told by one of our hams that the NMO works a little bit better for what we do, but the UHF antennas will work as well. This one is a 5/8 wave. Yeah, and it's a pretty tall guy. So we're going to be hitting some trees with this sucker. We've been looking at mounting options in here, and the first idea that I had was next to the brake controller would be kind of a good area because it's down below, we don't have to deal with it, but it's kind of close to the shifter. Not a real great place to put it. Looked at maybe on top of the dashboard, but it's kind of a rare color for the interior, so we can't find a replacement dashboard that easily if we drill holes in it. We were thinking that if we drilled in or made a no drill little adapter that goes in with those bolts, they kind of come up to a little piece of metal under there. That could probably hold something, but if we made a bracket from those to come up and hook in somehow with the glove box, maybe that'd be even better. The heater box on this truck is really big, so we don't want to get into that at all. Okay. All right, let's make a bracket. Check out these cool plates we got. It's going on the front of the truck. This is not legal for registration as a collector plate because they use the sequence now in other plates, but it looks so cool. We're going to put it on the front. Then we got our normal collector plates for the back. When do we need this to be ready?
I think we're doing checkout next Saturday, so we probably have to have it in by then, huh?
Yeah, we got to do all the radio tests. Initially, we're thinking we could hook up to the junction block here, and there might be some kind of power source in there. Looks like there's not really, so we would have to piggyback on a circuit that already might be near capacity. So probably gonna just hook up to the battery like it says.
That'll work.
Alright, we have a cardboard template here. We got 2 holes down here, and those are supposed to interact with this hole and this screw. So if we take that and then we insert it behind the glove box door, we get it kind of contouring over the instrument panel there, and up on the top it's going to have a couple body clips to clamp this in with the existing plastic here. My dad said that's okay because we're not going to see it later. It's all going to be hidden if we don't use it anymore. And then this side will be kind of held off as a standoff for the handset. So I guess I got to go make this out of steel. Since I've successfully ruined my other GoPro and cut this out, I have to go and bend this now, and I think the best way to bend this is actually to make my own brake. Now, I've wanted a brake for a long time, but I haven't gone and bought one because it's a special tool. But now that we have a 10,000 pound press, I can use a piece of angle iron on the bottom. If I set this on top of it and then put a piece down like this and press that in, that should press a pretty close to perfect angle in there. So we're going to try to weld this thing up real quick and make a tool for that press where we'll be able to press this thing in. And thankfully, if this thing was an inch wider, it would not fit in the press. So I'm glad I made it this size, totally by accident.
I am hooking the radio up. I got the positive to the battery, but put the negative to the chassis ground here that comes, this negative cable comes off the battery, so I'm going to hook that there. And then I'm also going to run a ground wire off this down for the lights. So I got
looky there.
I got a positive here.
That's a Hella 4000. I got those for a really good deal. See if they can work for us.
The radio's done for the most part.
Okay.
Now I just got to get a ground wire down for the lights.
I think it'll work. Let's see how it goes. So I guess the whole guiding light there is not working. My welds weren't too good on that either. I think if I had, in the future, had this thing riding on these sides, it would work a lot better. I can have this thing kind of locate itself as well, and that would make a much better metal brake. Alrighty, I kind of manhandled this thing, pushed it together, kind of hammered it with a brass block there to try to flatten that out, because that started making a real big curve when I started kind of pushing it. But I think it's a pretty consistent angle there. It's a little bit open on this side, but that's fine. So we're gonna put this thing in here, see if it actually matches anything at all. Let's see, it's touching slightly on the bottom. We push it through. It's actually a little bit too tight on the top, so let's take this out again. Let's try it again. I think that's gonna work, fellas. I got a little bit of overlap on the top there, so I'll mark that and trim that up. I think it's looking really good, and I'm kind of surprised that it's kind of fitting on the first try. As a matter of courtesy and liability, I'm letting my dad drill the holes in his dashboard. How'd it go? Good. Awesome. Okay, now we got these little clips here. Pop these things over. That puppy ain't going nowhere. I believe it's time to hold the radio up there, and we'll mark where that bracket goes, and then we can drill the bracket off the vehicle. Go ahead. We're going to open up those top holes a little bit because the M6 bolts are a little bit hard to get in. Get them lined up. And then we will mark the holes on this, drill those out, and I think I might put some captive nuts on there. Then we can paint it. I'm going to let those nuts cool with the bolts inside them, and that'll mean that it'll be less likely for the nuts to warp later on, and the threads should be mostly intact when I pull them out. In the meantime, I'm going to drill a couple holes here for my handset hook, and then I'm going to open up the holes on the top here so it'll be easier to get those bolts through the clips. Well, it's been degreased. I think it's ready for paint. I got my holes enlarged. I got my holes drilled, I got my nuts in place, and those are perfectly aligned for that bracket. So it's time for it to leave this thing dry for the night. My dad's gonna come back tomorrow, paint this thing, and we'll throw it in. Alright, well, it doesn't look perfect, but it looks pretty good. I have a little bit of paint missing in some corners of the captive nuts, but I'm gonna leave that be. Got our bolts in. The bolts are almost perfectly flush on there. That is fantastic. I don't think Yaesu ever thought that they would have this mounted like this in any car, but I think it turned out really well. I didn't do the best job on the captive nuts. There are a couple that didn't quite penetrate, but you know what? It's good enough, and this thing is stronger than I'm sure most installations are of these things. If we would have screwed into the dashboard, I'm sure this thing would have been a lot floppier. Let's go put this thing in the truck. I think we need to put this in now. And that angle gives me enough clearance to have these stick out and they don't hit anything. Awesome, I think it's ready to put on the truck. That went in pretty okay. I think the bolt holes should be a little bit bigger because there's a little bit of slop in there that needs to happen, but let's pop this thing in. Well, hey, I think that's about as good as it's going to get for now. I tucked out those wires as best I could, and I think all we have to do now is plug the battery in, see if this thing will transmit. Oh! Alright. Nice display. Wow. There we go.
Frequency mode.
See if we can make this work. Testing. Whoa. Test. Sweet, it works. Okay, I'm gonna run over. You keep the video running and see if you can get this from outside the car.
Radio test for Steel Beam Rally Team. Press on.
I'm super impressed this radio worked right off the bat. It's still got a couple issues to work through. If nothing else, we could just unplug the cassette adapter, but I'm pretty happy that worked. We have to leave at 5:30 tomorrow morning for the rally checkout 4 hours north. So we have a couple other things to check up on here, and we will get back with you tomorrow. We've been driving up here. We got a rally organizer up at Pioneer Farm, and I'm trying to get some contact the whole way up here. Could barely hear a call sign up at Highway 113, so we're gonna call in at 200, see if we can get an actual contact here and actually hear him. We actually call him on the phone, so we know that it's him. Let's try it out. This is Advanced 2 car. We are turning onto Highway 200. Do you read KF0KXU? Awesome, I heard that. We'll see you soon, KF0KXU. Alright, it's working. He's on a mobile radio, kind of like ours, so he doesn't have a repeater antenna or anything. It's pretty low power, but I'm very excited that we actually were able to make our first intelligible contact with the ham radio. So they are setting up the repeater now. We're going to do a big radio test for the checkout day today, and hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit better contact with the high power and high sensitivity repeater. We'll check back in. This is controls. We are approaching M86. Gonna put our sign up. KF0KXU.
This is a huge delta or what?
Copy, hit 0G2A.
Apparently. On this road we have a delta, so any cars coming up here, any spectators or anyone kind of onlooking will have to see that the road is closed. So we have a road closed sign here. We're going to pound into the ground here. We also mark our intersections with numbers so that when we're laying out our marshals, our course marshals for our roadblocks, that they are laid out correctly at the right intersection and we don't get anyone misplaced.
Why do they want to know where we are all the time?
We're checking the radio reception from here to net control to make sure that everything is in a good place. We have a GPS odometer going right now, so I know kind of where we are from that, but that gets off a little bit too, so I'm checking the banner book to make sure that I know where all the trails are, and I can be very sure of where we are. There's a grassy trail on the right, the mileage is perfect, and there's a dude changing his shirt behind his truck. Okay, well, we saw that. Can't unsee it. It's a double apex to the right. Looks like this is it. Yep, there's our trail. It's Marshall stakes, road closure signs, all day long.
So we'll see how many ATVs hit these in the next couple weeks. I think we only had one last rally, right?
Well, so far I'm having really good experience with the radio. We're getting excellent feedback from Net Control saying that we're coming through loud and clear no matter where we are. So I think I'm very satisfied with the Yaesu and the antenna we got. So awesome.
You know what? This is a good mosquito killer.
That is?
Yeah. As long as you don't hit your arm too hard.
You can squish it. Oh my God. All right. Well, hey, I appreciate you all coming by with me. This has been a fun installation, and I really enjoy being part of this rally stuff. You got a little treat to see what we're doing as far as going out and organizing and setting up the roads. And thank you for coming along with me today. Press on.
Some big ass poison ivy here.
Yeah. Nice. And milkweed. Common milkweed. Bunch of it.